Okay. Just a moment. We have some introductions to do, sir.
Sure.
Yes.
Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. A very warm good afternoon to one and all present here. It's a great honor and pleasure for being a part of this session. First and foremost, I would like to thank our Almighty for making this happen. A day without prayer is a day without blessing. Now I call upon Jennifer Jessen to lead us in a prayer.
Let's pray. Loving Heavenly Father, creature of heaven and earth, we praise you and adore you. You are the King of Kings. Father, we thank you for the opportunity to gather this day. May everything we do begin with your inspiration and continue with your help. Lord, we are gathered here today for our webinar. Send us your Holy Spirit to be our guide and give us the wisdom to understand every topic that we are going to discuss, enlighten our minds, and let your love be upon us. May this meeting bring success and growth. We thank you, Father, for this precious time that you given us. We ask this in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you. When you turn your worries into worship, God will turn your battles into blessings. Now I call upon Shiny Elizabeth for the Bible reading.
A reading from the Holy Bible, Proverbs chapter 8, verses from 1 to 7. That she cried at the gates, at the city, at the coming in at the doors. And to you, O men, I call, and my voice is to the Son of Man. O ye simple, understand wisdom, and ye fools, be ye of an understanding heart. Hear, for I will speak of excellent things, and the opening of my lips shall be right things. For my mouth shall speak truth, and wickedness is an abomination to my lips. This is the word of the Lord.
Thank you. Small cheer and great welcome makes a mercy feast. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce our speaker, who is going to talk about interview techniques for IT industries. Mr. Davidson Moses is a senior software engineer with 14 years in IT industries. He had been in technical interview panel during recruitment. He had also prepared many freshers for interviews. With a great honor and privilege, I now hand over the session to our speaker.
Thank you. And thank you for this opportunity to talk to all of you and share what I have learned through my journey in this industry. And I hope you're all able to see my screen that I have shared. Can you can you make use of the chat window and show, or can you tell me if you're able to see my screen? Yeah, all right, cool. Okay, so this this session is for a very high overview about the interview process in IT industry and what you can expect when you are preparing for the interviews and how to prepare. I will take you through the slides that I have prepared. If you have any questions, you can type in the chat box, or you can ask questions through voice. And if you see I'm going very slow, you can tell me, I'll speed up. If you think I'm going very fast, you can tell me, I'll slow down. All right, and because I'm sharing my screen, when you message on the chat box, when you send your questions through the chat box, I may not be able to see. So I request the moderator to moderate the questions and bring it up during this session.
Sure, sir.
If that's all right. Okay. This is me. I completed my Bachelor of Engineering in 2006. I finished my engineering in electrical and electronics.
Right?
Sorry?
It's a new
Okay, others, can you please go on mute if you don't mind? If you have any questions, please unmute. So as they explained earlier, I have 14 years in the industry. I started off in a mid-tier company called UST Global, and I worked there, and I worked in the US for 6 years, and I came back. And now I'm currently working in a Danish bank as a senior software engineer, and I have worked in the technical panel for companies like Wipro, for Tech Mahindra, and yeah, so on. So with the experience that I have, with all the learnings that I got through my years in the industry, I have prepared these topics. If you have any questions, we have a question and answer session planned at the end of the session. So you can bring up all your questions during that time at the end of the session. All right, this is one of my favorite quotes. A journey of 1,000 miles begin with a single step. So your ambition may be large, your goals may be higher, but you have to start somewhere and take small steps each day, and it will take you closer to your goal. All right, this is the agenda. First, we'll go through what to expect in the interview process. Some of you may be aware of some of these aspects of it, but for the benefit of everyone, I'll still want to go through what to expect in the interview process, what are the different stages of it, and how to prepare yourself for the recruitment. And I also have compiled some do's and don'ts that you can follow during this process. And we'll discuss about how to stay up to date when it comes to what is new in the industry, or how to stay updated on recruitment drives and so on. And then we will have the Q&A session. Like I mentioned before, we will discuss all the questions that you have, and I encourage each of you to not hesitate and ask whatever questions you may have, even if it sounds simple or silly, please go ahead and ask. And then finally, we will have some parting thoughts. All right, so far? Okay. What to expect in the interview process, right?
Excuse me, David, can you talk
Yes?
louder? We can't hear you. Please.
Can you hear me now?
Just
Better?
little.
Is it better now?
Yeah, okay.
Little bit louder. Little bit louder.
I see. Okay, is it okay? Better? I'll try to speak loudly.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So what to expect in the interview process, right? So typically, it includes an aptitude test, and then a group discussion, and then the technical interview, and then a HR interview. But this is the typical structure, but it may vary with companies. And the first two steps are more like the elimination rounds. In a recruitment drive, typically there may be like 1,000 to 2,000 candidates, right? So the initial step is to eliminate as much as possible, so that they can only focus on a handful of people, because technical interviews are face to face. So before we get to that stage, they want to narrow down to those talented candidates, and that's where the aptitude test and the group discussions come in. And occasionally, rarely, you may have scenarios where they are giving you an email writing as a one of the steps for selection. Okay, for the aptitude test. So what is this aptitude test? So we have, so these questions are basically multiple choice questions. And these aptitude, we will go over this aptitude test and how to prepare later, but on a high level overview, we'll see what these are for. So this is to test your critical thinking, your logical reasoning, basic maths, and lateral thinking. So critical thinking is when they ask you, so this is they give you a problem and they'll try to test your problem solving skills, right? Think of it like puzzles. Logical reasoning is when they say they have questions like, oh, my neighbor is my father's sister's third cousin, so how is he related to me? So you have to put in those things together and logically come up with a conclusion, right? And basic maths is whatever you learned in school, and lateral thinking is those are like the puzzle kind of thing. So they say if there are like two people on a bike and one person has to walk, or if there are like three people and there is just one bike and only two can go at a time, so which is the shortest time to reach a particular place? So those are the kind of questions you'll get in this aptitude test. Group discussion is typically conducted in groups with 5 to 15 candidates in each group, and they give you a topic and you have to discuss on that topic for and against, or however they ask you to discuss. So this is to evaluate your communication skills, your reasoning abilities, to see how you are as a team player, and your leadership skills. Now, where does the leadership skills come in this? This is when you see somebody who's struggling to talk for a while, but he's not given a chance. He or she is not given a chance to speak, right? But if you have control of the session, you can say, you know what, guys, let's give this person a chance. He's been trying to uh, uh, give his point for a while, so why not give him a chance? So it shows your leadership skills there, right? So people like uh, uh, those with leadership skills, and all the rest is straightforward. Coming to the technical interview, so this is typically face to face, but because of this pandemic, right, we have over video call. Now, this is to test your theoretical knowledge on the subject, your hands-on knowledge if you have done any projects, your enthusiasm to learn. So this is when they ask you, so how do you spend your time, or what did you do after finishing college? You had 1 year break before you could land a job. So what did you do during that time? So if you say, oh, I made use of that time and I did this course, or I completed a course online or through class, so that shows that you have that enthusiasm to learn. And then it'll also test your communication skills, how you are speaking, how you can put forth your points, how articulate you are in the interview, right? And they'll also test your critical thinking here. They'll give you situations, and they can also give you algorithms they can ask you to solve, right? Uh, Nothing too technical, but they'll ask you, if I have to calculate, let's say the 50th number in a Fibonacci series, how will you calculate? You know how to calculate the Fibonacci series, but you have to come up with the best way to calculate it, right? So these are the kind of questions you can expect. Now, before we go to how to prepare yourself, any questions on these topics that we discussed? I don't want to go too fast, but if you think I am, please let me know. No questions?
Mama,
Kept... Yes.
this is Roshan, Mama, Roshan Daniel.
Yeah. Hi, Roshan.
Mama, actually, I had a question to ask you.
Sure.
For Mama, like, now, these, the people who are sitting for the interview, the interviewee. Hello,
Sorry,
Mama, are you able to hear me?
I heard until the interview.
Okay, yes, Mama. So, as an interviewee, if he wanted to ask a question to the interviewer, what kind of questions can he ask him?
It's a good question, and I have a topic on that. So we will, when we reach there, we will definitely discuss this.
Okay, Mama.
All right. Okay, Roshan?
Yes, Mama. Yes, Mama.
Okay. Any other questions on the format of the interview process? No? Okay. I have kept a session or a time for Q&A. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask during that time. So I'm assuming that you will ask questions during that time because uh, I know you will have a lot of questions. So moving on, how to prepare yourself, right? Okay, so this is the most tedious part if you ask me, because you have to convince yourself that you're good for this job, right? Before you can convince somebody else. So you have to sit and introspect within yourself. You have to think to yourself, why do I want this job? What makes me suitable for this job, right? So if you think you are qualified for this job because of your degree, or you can also give your interest level on this particular job. You can think, you know what, I have always been fascinated with uh, programming, or I like learning new technologies, or whatever that comes to your mind. You just have to convince yourself that you want this job, and you should be able to convince the other party that yes, you are suitable for this job, right? So that is the more important part, if you ask me. That is where many people will try to. Can others please go on mute? Thank you. So if you're able to convince yourself, then half of the work is done. Then it's just getting the other person uh, to look at your perspective, right? Now, when somebody asks you, why do you want this job? Always look for a bigger perspective. It should not be about money. For example, if you are, there is a story where a king goes to a laborer and asks, what are you doing? And this guy says, I am carrying bricks from here to there, right? And he goes and asks the next person, what are you doing? And he says, I am earning my daily wages so that I can take care of my family, right? And then he asks another person, and the third person says, I'm building that temple over there, right? Or I'm helping build that temple over there. Now, these are all different perspectives, right? So if you look at the first person, he just thought he's just carrying the bricks from here to there, or he's carrying the stone from here to there. That's all he thought he was doing. The second person thought he's doing a little bit more than that. Not only is he carrying the stones, he's also uh, working and earning and taking care of his family, right? And the third person has something even bigger than that. He thinks he's building that temple for everybody, right? It's not about him and his family, it's for others. So try to find your perspective, right? Whatever you're doing, try to find a bigger perspective in what you're doing, whether it comes to work or life. Now, the next point I want to make is the confidence factor, right? Now, sometimes you may not be used to attending interviews. It may be new for you, or you may find it hard to talk to strangers, or you may think you are not suitable for this job, or you may think, what if he thinks or she thinks I'm not suitable for this job, right? You should avoid all those thoughts out of your head and focus on what you can do and focus on why you can do it, right? You need to have that confidence in yourself before you can convince somebody else that you can do it, correct? So when it comes to that, you have to fake it till you make it, correct? What does it mean? It means even if you don't feel like you are strong, tell to yourself that you are strong. Even if you feel like you're not ready, tell yourself you're ready. the worst comes worst, they're going to tell you that you're not suitable for this job, right? And all you can do is learn from your mistakes. And for your next interview, you'll be better prepared, right? So before I got my first interview or my first job, I attended at least like 15 interviews. This was in college. In college, we had campus placements, and so I attended at least like 15 interviews before I got my first job um, in my fourth year. Now, in each of those interviews, there was something for me to learn. Right after like first few interviews, I found out that you know what, I am not convinced myself in order for them to see my point, right? So I had to convince myself first, and I learned that after like 2 3 interviews. So be ready to learn from your mistakes and keep trying again. Okay. Now, coming to the first actual effort that you have to put in, right? You have to prepare for the interview process, and the first thing you have to do is practice solving aptitude questions. Some of you may already have started it. If not, please start on these two books. You can use either of them. First is Quantitative Aptitude by R.S. Agarwal, and second is the same name by Dinesh Katar. These are really useful, and these have been there since the time I was preparing for aptitude, like 15, 16 years ago. So these are really good books. They cover various topics, and it will broaden your mind, meaning it will help you solve all those aptitude questions, all the different types of questions that you could get. All right, so please make a note of these books and start preparing whenever you get a chance. Next, moving on to the group discussion. Uh, how can you prepare for a group discussion, right? So you are used to talking to your friends, and uh, you may use your mother tongue or English. Either way, you're used to talking to your friends. So this is very similar to that. Try to focus on your English and stick to the topic. That's all you have to do. So pick a topic. It could be, and I have given some examples here. Advantages and disadvantages of social media, right? So that is a real topic that you could get. Now, if you get a chance, sit with your friends and conduct an actual discussion with your friends. What are the advantages and what are the disadvantages? It's good to start first, but if you did not get a chance to start first, don't worry, you'll get your chance. There are some people who go on talking for like 5 minutes straight, and the total time allocated is like 15 minutes for everybody, right? In that case, it is okay to stop them and take that leadership role and say, thank you for your points, but we don't have a lot of time in our hands, so why not listen to others, right? Uh, if you have trouble with your fluency or your confidence when it comes to English or speaking in front of others, I would suggest reading the newspaper aloud to a group of people. And I have seen this give great results, and people who are very hesitant to talk in front of even a small group, like a 10 member group, they have greatly improved. Their confidence has improved, their fluency has improved just by following this small technique. Try to read the newspaper aloud, and within a week or two, you will see that your uh, confidence has increased. Now, am I audible? Is it clear? Sorry, I forgot about this mic and I left it. So is it, am I still audible?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Okay. Um, Another point that you have to remember is keep an eye on current affairs, because many of the topics that you get here could be related to current affairs. Um, they will not go into like very technical topics. Like, what do you think about the new fiscal budget that was submitted this year? So they won't be too technical, right? But they will be topics like demonetization. Um, if you did not know what demonetization is, you may not be able to talk about it, right? So keep an eye on the general things going around you, your current affairs. Okay. And last point I want to remind is that this is not a debate. This is a discussion, right? Because some people get carried away. They think this is a debate. They start attacking each other, and they say, you know what? They take it personally, right? As though the point that they are making is something that is very personal to them. You don't have to take it to heart. This is just a discussion. This is just to see how you communicate in a group. That's all. Okay. Coming to the technical interview, brush up on your basics, right? This could be your 11th and 12th topics, or this could be from your uh, uh, college topics. If it is related to IT, brush up on it, right? If if you if you're strong in C or C++ or Java or Python, whatever it is you're strong in, keep a note of it. List down all the topics that you're familiar with, right? Uh, that helps in leading the interviewer towards that topic, right? Sometimes if they ask, do you know C? And excuse me, sorry, can you please go on mute, others? If you're not talking, if you don't have any questions. All right. If there are no questions, then I'll continue. Okay. So if you list down the topics that you're strong in, right? Suppose you're strong in a particular language, let's say Python. Now, if they ask you how would you write a particular code in C or C++, you can say, I'm not sure about that because I only learned about that theoretically, or I have not learned C, uh, but I'm strong in Python. So when you lead the interview towards that, then the interviewer is more, he'll probably ask questions based on that area, right? It's okay not to know about certain topics. Not everybody can know everything, right? There are certain topics that you may not have come across, or you may not have prepared. It's okay. If you did not know, you can still lead the interview towards the topics that you know, right? So this will help. So you have to list down the topics that you're strong in, right? And I missed one point. So if you have completed any hands-on projects, refresh on them, right? You don't want them to ask questions on your own project, and if you're not able to answer uh, right from the design questions to how you implement it, if you're not able to answer, then it won't look good on you, right? So if you have completed any hands-on projects, refresh on it, keep everything handy. Now, the last point I want to make on this topic is go through your resume multiple times. This is very important. This is your resume. You are creating your resume, right? And you should be able to answer any questions on your resume. If you have listed down some particular tool as your skill set, if they ask what is this tool, you should be able to answer, right? Okay. Just a second. Okay, we are halfway through, so we have another half an hour, so I may go a little bit slow. So, how to prepare for HR interview, right? This may seem very. Some people think technical interviews are the hard parts, right? HR interview is something you can easily answer out of, from your heart, but it still needs preparation. You still need to go over some of the topics, and you should be ready to answer them, right? Uh, they may ask questions about your strengths and weaknesses, your passions and hobbies. They may ask why you chose this career path and what do you know about the company, right? Any questions? Okay. If there are no questions, I'll continue. Okay. So your strengths and weaknesses. So this is something that you have to introspect and list down, right? For weaknesses, don't give something as cliched as I'm a perfectionist, so yeah, that's my weakness. It should be something that is genuine, right? Everybody has a weakness. Uh, it doesn't have to be something that will jeopardize your interview, right? You don't have to say some secrets that you have that is your weakness, and if I say it out, they'll not give me this job, right? Should not be that. Weakness is something that you're working on, and that will help you become a better person, right? It could be something as simple as my English wasn't as good earlier, but I'm technically strong and I'm working on my English skills, right? Now, when you say or when you add a point that I'm working on it, it gives them the opinion that yes, you know your weaknesses and you're working on it, right? So, so find out your own strengths and your own weaknesses. Uh, that will give you a personal touch. They'll actually get to know about you. It doesn't have to be interesting. It doesn't have to be something groundbreaking. Just simple strengths and weaknesses that you have. Your passions and hobbies. This is more to know about you as a person, apart from work or apart from studies. What are you involved in, right? Uh, this this is probably just to know. They may not use this for or against you. But why you chose this career path is very important. This is why your introspection is important. You have to explain to them why you are interested in this job. Now, for the next point, if they ask you what you know about the company, you should be able to answer what the company is about. Uh, what are they? What business are they involved in? If it is an IT company, you know they give IT services. But if it's a products company, you should be able to answer them what product they are developing, or um, whatever you can find from the company's website, right? So before you attend the company, go through the company's website, try to see what the company is all about, try to see who's the CEO, try to see where all they operate, if they're operating only in India or they have offices elsewhere. So all those things will actually help you get to know about the company. And when you show that you're taking interest in knowing about the company, it shows that you want to be there, right? And they know that you're also interested, very much interested in joining the company. Now, again, okay, so they'll also ask scenario-based questions to see how you think and how you would react in a particular scenario. And for the example that I have mentioned here, they can ask you, suppose you're working on a project for 2 months, and when the deadline is next month, you find out that you won't be able to complete it on time. What would you do? Uh, there is no right answer or wrong. There are some wrong answers, but there you should be able to answer or navigate these questions accordingly. You should not come across as an overly workaholic person. You should not come across as uh, a laggard who will not complete it, or somebody who takes things very easily and say, oh, if I'm not able to complete, I'm not able to complete, right? Those are the things you want to avoid. Um, uh, so yeah, so prepare yourself for these questions, read up online, and try to find more about those scenario-based questions and what could be a right answer, what could be a wrong answer. There are a lot of resources online, so try to read up on that. Okay. Now coming to the important part. right? This is the resume is your very first step, or your very first phase they're going to see, right? This is they should be impressed with this in order to even before they even call you for an interview, right? So make it uh, interesting. You have to highlight your strengths, uh, be truthful. So don't add anything just because it sounds nice, right? Don't add some things like I have completed uh, a hands-on project, uh, and I worked on this project for 1 year and I completed it, right? But if they ask you about the project, you should be able to give a project that is actually big enough to be completed in 1 month, right? You cannot give a 1 month project and say I worked on it hard for 1 year and I completed it. So try to add as much as possible, but be truthful, right? Search on job sites for your profile and look for job description. Now, this will give you an idea what they're expecting from you, right? Um, Sometimes you may not even think about certain things, but those points may be listed in the job description, right? Um, like attention to detail. Now, you may be somebody who is good with that, right? If you read something and if you think a small number is wrong or a small word is missing or anything, if you're paying attention to the small things, maybe you're good at it, but you may not even think about putting that on your resume, right? But those are the kind of things they look for. So to understand what they're looking for, go through these job descriptions on sites like Naukri or Monster.com. Try to understand what are they expecting from a candidate. Now, you may not have everything that they have listed. It's okay, and they also know that they will not find a candidate who satisfies everything on this list, right? What they are looking for is somebody who can satisfy the most number of points in this, right? So if it applies to you, then add it in your resume. If it does not apply to you, don't add it. If they're asking for somebody who is bilingual, who should know English and French, if you do not know French, don't add it. Because if you add something in your resume and if they ask questions later, if you're not able to answer, they'll straight away eliminate. So yeah, so put as much as you can in your resume. I know as a fresher, the number of things you can list down in your resume may be limited, but if you go through those job descriptions and what they expect from a candidate, you'll understand that, or you'll see that a lot of things applies to you, and many of them you can add it to your resume, right? Use the same keywords. That is more important. Um, if they had said attention to detail, yes, you should say attention to detail, but don't copy the exact sentence from there and put it in your resume. Yes, that will clearly stand out and they'll know that you have just copied it. Do not add any points if you cannot answer questions on that topic, like I mentioned before, and use professional language. What I mean by this is instead of using like simple words like get, put, or did, for example, instead of saying I did my bachelor's in CSI College of Engineering, you can say I completed my degree. So there is a difference between I did my college and completed my degree, right? So those are the kind of things you should watch out in your resume. Put use professional language. Okay, so we have only 20 more minutes, so I'll try to go fast. We have do's and don'ts to complete and how to stay up to date. We may have questions for question and answers later. So I'll carry on. Do's and don'ts. The first thing that you should do is be your own salesperson, right? You cannot take somebody with you to the interview room and ask them to talk about you. And they cannot tell, hey, you know what, this guy is actually very good at these things, right? You are only there and you are your own salesperson. Do not hesitate if you have to talk about yourself in superlative terms. You don't have to say, I'm the best in my class. You can say, I'm good at this, right? So be your own salesperson. Don't hesitate. Talk in a calm voice and be composed. This is very important. Questions? Okay. So talk in a calm voice. This is very important. This will tell them that you know what you're doing, right? If you know that you are a suitable candidate for your position, um, you will try to be as calm as possible. Even otherwise, if you're nervous, there are certain things you can do, right? The very first that you can do is you can acknowledge that you're nervous. It's okay to say, you know what, I'm actually kind of a little bit nervous, but I'm fine. So they will say, if you want to drink some water, you can drink, or if they'll probably give you a minute to calm yourself down, and then you can take a deep breath and continue on, right? So there is nothing wrong in acknowledging that you're nervous if you are in the interview room. Before the interview, try power poses. Now, what are these power poses? So these are some postures that you can do that will give you uh, confidence. So I will leave it up to you to search for those power poses and learn them. And that combined with the deep breaths, you'll realize that it's actually calming you down, right? So try these things if you find yourself nervous. Next thing is your attire. Wear formal clothes and avoid flashy colors. For men, white, blue, plain shirts are good. Uh, Now, during these times, if it is happening over a video call, you still need to look formal, right? Just because you're home, you should not look like you're wearing a t-shirt or dressed informally for the interview. For women, sari or salwar or western formal wear, any of this is good. Try to stick to one or two colors, nothing more than that, right? So if your dress has like three or four or five or more than that colors, it may not look very formal. So yeah, the most important thing is wear a smile, right? So when you're talking, try to smile. That will make you a genuine person, right? You don't have to smile like something is funny with the interviewer, but just give a genuine smile, right? When talking to them, uh, say, yeah, yes, this is what I did, and thanks for inviting me for the interview. And so be genuine, right? Wear a smile, give eye contact while talking. And I know while talking over the video call, you may not be able to do that all the time because like you have to look at the webcam all the time in order for them to feel the eye contact. But you cannot do that all the time. But during the regular times, try to give eye contact to each of them. If there are like three interview panel members, look at each of them in turns. It should not look like you're only focusing on one person and answering to them, right? And if a very important point, if you mess up an answer, right? If you do not know how to answer a particular question, keep calm. Don't think your whole interview is ruined. You can still come back. Just keep calm and move on to your next question. Don't let the previous wrong answer distract you from answering this question correctly, right? Okay. Now, Roshan, you had a question, right? What was it? I'm not able to recollect. Sorry. Um, okay. If it is related to this, you can bring it up now. Otherwise, you can we can discuss during the Q&A session. All right. Don'ts. Uh, am I still audible?
Yes, sir.
All right. Are we getting any questions through the chat box?
Sir, not yet.
All right. Okay, but if anyone has any questions, please mention that in the chat box. We will discuss that during the Q&A session. All right. Okay. The don'ts. Don't talk fast because you're nervous, right? Sometimes we tend to talk very fast and it may go over their heads. Uh, if you find yourself talking very fast, try to slow down and keep calm. All right. The reason I'm talking fast is that there are a lot to cover and we have only 60 minutes and I wanted to finish it in 45 minutes so that we have 15 minutes for questions. That's why I'm going fast. But in an interview, try to keep calm and speak in a slow, not slow, in a moderate but calm voice. All right. And while answering the questions, do not look elsewhere. Sometimes we tend to think, and when we think, we look up. And when we're answering questions like this, it may not give that good feeling for them when you answer questions looking elsewhere. So when you're answering questions, try to look at them. If you have to think, you can take a moment to look elsewhere, maybe down or up, whatever helps you think. But then when you're answering, get back to the interviewer, right? If you don't know an answer, don't beat around the bush, right? So this is not like our college viva. If they ask a question, we cannot talk about it for the next 2 minutes, even if we don't know the answer, right? So if you don't know, it's okay to say, I don't know, I'm sorry. Or you can say, I'm sorry, I've never come across that terminology, right? Um, if it seems like the interview is not going good, do not tell them that you're desperate to get this job. Sometimes some people will, they think that if I tell them my personal situation, they will give me this job, right? In most cases, that's not how it works. And you should not share your personal details with them. But if you have any restrictions, do bring it up during the HR interview. If you think I have somebody to take care of at home, so every month for a week I may have to work from home. Uh, so if that is something that you have to let them know, do bring it up in the HR interview. But don't tell them about your personal financial situations and why you're desperate to get this job, right? That's not how we get the job. We have to show them that you can add value to the company, and that's how they will give you a job, right? So try to uh, stick to the point, make yourself known, tell them why they have to hire you, right? And don't answer the question with I don't know, right? Sometimes it becomes awkward when they ask a question and you're like, I don't know. And then when you leave it like that, it leaves that awkward silence, right? And they will not know if you are thinking. So they'll try to give you like 10-20 seconds for you to come up with something else. But you will be waiting for them to ask the next question, right? But that silence could be very awkward. So if you don't know something, you can add something like, I'm sorry, I don't know, but I have heard of it. Or you can say, I have theoretically, or I have learned about it in college, but I'm not able to recollect. but I do know about this, which is related to that, right? If it has to be related, you cannot answer something that is not related entirely. But if it is closer to that question, you can say, yes, we had a similar situation like that in my final year project, and this is how I solved it. So you can take the question. You cannot uh, give a totally irrelevant answer, or just keep talking about that topic um, without what do you say, if you don't know what to say, like this, right? So you shouldn't be talking just for the sake of talking. You should know what you're speaking. You should have that fluency when you speak, so that if you did not know, you can manage that question without leaving it awkward. The last point, it goes back to what I said earlier. Don't be modest. Don't think, how can I say good things about myself, right? You have to. That that is how they can know what skills you have, right? Okay. How to stay up to date? Stay active on LinkedIn. So you all must know about LinkedIn by now. If not, please create a profile on LinkedIn, and give your details, your photos, connect with as many people as you can, and find target companies, and add find recruiters from those companies and follow them or add them, right? And most people just connect. They'll not this is not like Facebook. This is not utilized for personal reasons or purposes. They will add you if they think you could be a prospective candidate later, right? So yeah, and search for the companies on LinkedIn or Facebook, and follow them, learn about their recruitment drives there. Keep eyes and ears open for the latest technologies in the industry, and develop your skills in that area, right? You may have heard of all the digital technologies today, right? Like data science, machine learning, artificial intelligence, or big data. So any of that. So keep an eye out on all of that, like blockchain. So keep an eye out and see where you can develop your skills in that area, and make use of the countless free education resources. There are sites like Coursera, Udemy, edx.org. So they all have a lot of courses. If you can afford, pay for the courses. Even otherwise, there are like free courses, a lot of them. You can make use of them. All right, now we have come to the Q&A time, and I have overshot my time. Uh, Sorry about that. If you have any questions, please type in the chat box, or you can ask in the call.
Mama, I asked a question in the
Yes,
start.
please go ahead.
Can you please answer
Um,
that?
I am not able to see it. I can't see it, Roshan, but you can go ahead. You can ask.
Okay, Mama.
Sorry, I
So
cannot
my
recollect what
question
you asked.
was, as an interviewee,
Yeah.
if we were to ask a question to the
Yes.
interviewer,
Got it.
what
It's
can we ask him or her?
very, very good question. Now, most cases they will ask you, they'll give you a time, and they will ask you, do you have any questions for us, right? Uh, this is where you have to show that you are interested in the company. You can ask any question like, so what would a typical day be like? What is the nature of job? You can ask about, so is the team all co-located, or are they in different places? So you can ask about the project. Try to learn about uh, the project that they are recruiting you for. Try to learn about their company. Try to ask questions, um, um, thinking that you already got the job, right? If you already got the job, what is the first thing that you'll ask them? while working in that company. So those are the kind of things that will give them an opinion that yes, you are very interested in that. Otherwise, it will just seem like you are here, you attended the interview, but if they ask any, if you have any questions, and you say, no, it means you're just there, maybe not interested in the job. But if you ask questions like knowing more about, because there are certain things you can know about the company, but you cannot know about the projects before you join them, right? But if you ask these questions about the project, about you can ask, will there be shifts? Do I have to work in the regular shift, or will there be shifts? Do we have to work on weekends? Any questions that you can ask, that you can think of if they offered you the job, right?
Okay,
Does it
ma'am, I
answer your
got it.
question?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
All right. So we have another question in the chat. As a fresher, what does the company expect from you? Good question. Now, they know that you may have only theoretical knowledge, right? But the theoretical knowledge, uh, they'll try to test it. They'll try to see if you understood what you learned. That's one part they'll try to know. They'll also try to find out how your communication skills are. That's very important, because uh, in most cases, in most companies, they work as teams, right? So if I am working on a project, there is always somebody who's working with me on that project. In most cases, it won't be an individual effort. So how they are able to communicate with each other, how if you have worked on something in a team, as a team, you can portray that as a so that they know how good of a team player you are, and show that you are willing to learn. um, People like those who are eager to learn new things, because see, I have 14 years in the industry, and I have worked on uh, different companies and on different projects, right? I have worked on healthcare projects. I have worked on retail projects. I have worked on automobile projects. So there is always something new. So don't think only freshers have a lot of things to learn. Everybody has something to learn. So if you're ready to learn, they'll think of it as a very positive sign, and be ready to learn, because you may be in IT, but the project you're working on could be automobile, right? I was working for a project in Nissan, and I have to learn how they do the supply chain management within Nissan. It was new to me, but I had to learn that in order to complete the project, right? So be ready to learn even outside your industry. Um, so that enthusiasm to learn is also important. Does that answer that question? Next question is, does hiring in product-based companies differ from service-based companies? I don't think so. I have not seen the current project that I'm in is a product-based company, and I did not see any difference in the recruitment process when it comes to product or services. Okay, next question from. Okay, so what do we do? Okay, what we do to work in IT field? I thought that's what I have explained in this uh, session. But if you have any specific questions, please let me know. Other than what do we do to work in IT? Okay, the next question is, what should be the answer when they ask about salary? Good, that's a very good question, right? Um, uh, it- Sometimes it may be tricky, but my suggestion, or what I usually do, is that I let them give me a number, right? I don't um, give them a number, because first thing is, if I had quoted a lesser number than what they already had in mind, then they will settle down to what I asked, right? I don't want that. Second thing is, I don't want to think that, I don't want them to think that if I don't get the salary, I'm not ready to join your company, right? We don't want to give that opinion. So the key word here is negotiable. You have to use the word negotiable. When they hear the word negotiable, they know that they can work with you. Even if you quote a higher number, they know that if they work with you, they can find a middle ground, right? So be the last to quote a number. Try to get the number from them. Ask them. So what is the industry-wide salary for this profile? So they'll try to give a number, and if it is suitable for you, you can say okay. There are various ways you can handle that, but I'll stop it with that. Next question I can see is current leaders of IT, such as TCS and others, have changed their requirements through their CRM. Any thoughts how to crack them? Now, that is a good observation, that they have, many of these companies are uh, going to CRM solutions, but I don't know what you meant by change the requirements. Um, but there are still projects that they're developing in the new technologies, right? CRM does not satisfy everybody's requirements. If it's like off the shelf, if it is suitable for you, you can, or if it is suitable for the company, they will use it. In most cases, they have to do a lot of customizations, so they end up building something on their own. And for companies like TCS, they will not have any issues finding a project. So you should not worry about that right now. Okay. What if they ask why choose our company over other companies? Um, they'll not usually ask that question unless you're already working on a company, right? Suppose you're working in one company and they ask, why do you want to leave that company and join us? Then you can say, I have to leave the company for so and so reason. Don't straight away say for higher salary, right? Even if it is true, don't say that. Try to find another reason that will sit well. But if this is your first company as a fresher, if you're applying, they may not most probably ask why choose our company, because they all know that we are all trying to find a company, any company that is good. That gives you the offer first. You'll be ready to join, right? But if they ask, you can say, um, I have read about your company on Wikipedia or on your website, and I was really impressed, and I really wanted to be part of the company. All right. Next question. Um, does knowing more than one international language help us being recruited? For example, if I know Japanese or German, will it add up? Good question. I'll give you one example. If you know French, it's very easy for you to get a job in Canada, right? Whether you can get it in France or not, in Canada you can get easily. Not just a job, you can even get a permanent residency easily in France, in Canada. So knowing a second language will definitely help. But if you know a language like Japanese or German, it will definitely help, because there are a lot of Japanese companies and German companies here, and I know people who learned German and they're currently working in Germany right now. So if you have future plans to immigrate to another company, then definitely invest on that. Okay. Um, Last question that I see: what skills are necessary for an entry-level software engineer? Okay. They expect you to know at least one script language like Python, or if you have IT or CSE background, Then they'll try to understand um, what all languages that you learned, right? And they'll ask questions from that. And if you're not from an IT background, they'll still expect you to know basic concepts like object-oriented programming, data structures, and basic topics that you will know that you will need, and at least one programming language, right? A C would be a good option. If you have not learned any languages so far, and if you're not from an IT or CSC background, try to learn one language. Could be C or could be Java. Learn one language. Try to learn about the object-oriented programming concepts. Try to learn about algorithms. Try to learn about dynamic programming. Try to learn about at least one script language. It's basically how you equip yourself for that role, right? When I joined, I'm not from an IT background, so they did not ask me a lot of IT related questions, but they did ask me questions about how I will solve a particular uh, problem and so on. So prepare yourself on the aptitude front, and if you have IT background, brush up on your IT languages and skills. Last questions. One more question that I see. How do you answer? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Yeah, so I don't think for freshers they may ask, but if they ask, you can say something about being a team lead is a good goal. You cannot say, "Oh, I want to become a CEO of my own company in 5 years," right? Uh, this it means that for a few years you will work and then you'll go out of the company and start your own business. So you can be realistic there, and you can say, "I would like to be a team lead in 5 years," or if you think you are a good manager material, you can say, I would like to have completed a project management certificate in 5 years, something like that. Mhm. Okay, that's all the questions that I see here. Any other questions? I'll probably give another 2 minutes uh, for anyone who has any questions. Don't hesitate. We'll make use of this time. Um, you can either ask in chat or you can ask through voice. Okay. All right. I'll go on to the parting thoughts. All right. When you set your objectives, keep it smart. And by smart, uh, it means specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So try to find out objectives that have all these aspects.
இந்த மாதிரி தான் நடந்துச்சு எனக்கு. உன்னோட விஷயம் நடந்துச்சு எனக்கு.
Can you be on mute, please, if you don't have any questions? All right. Second point is more for your life rather than for your interview. So don't waste your time on thinking about how others would react to your success. Right. This is something that I learned. Similarly, don't waste your time thinking how others would react to your failure. Both these will um, take your focus away from what is actually required. Right. What is required is your actions. So keep focus on your objectives. Don't waste time on these things. Give credit to others where it's due. If somebody helped you or supported you when you needed the most, give them credit. And when you accomplish something, yeah, after you accomplish it, give them credit. Okay? And keep yourself updated. Read non-fiction books. Develop your personality and social skills. This will go a long way, not just for your 1 or 2 years uh, from now, but even throughout your life. This will help, and keep yourself updated. If you don't have a reading habit, start that habit immediately. You can start with books like How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson. So these are very good books that helped me a lot in my earlier days, and I'm sure this will help you also. And if you believe in God, pray, pray well. All right. That's all. Thank you for listening, and best wishes for your future, and stay safe during these times. Thank you.
Thank you for the wonderful session, sir. Now I call upon Professor Ruth from Computer Science to deliver the vote of thanks.
The unthankful heart discovers no mercies, but a thankful heart will find in every hour some heavenly blessings. A very warm good afternoon to one and all. At the outset, I would first of all thank our Almighty for making this webinar a successful one. It's a great honor that I got an opportunity to show our gratitude. On behalf of the CSI College of Engineering, my heartfelt thanks to Mr. Davidson Moses for sparing his valuable time for us. It's really a great blessing to have such an eminent personality with us. It was indeed a very wonderful and a productive session. Thank you so much, sir. I'm very sure all our students and staff would have gained a lot of knowledge from this session. I also thank our Bishop and Chairman, Right Reverend Timothy Ravinder, Correspondent Mr. Sudan Apadure, Principal Dr. J. Joshua Sekaran, HOD Professor Nisha Priya, PG Coordinator Professor Angelin Pelcia, for always being a great support. I thank all the staff members who had helped us for this webinar. I thank our students for lending their helping hands for making the required arrangements. Last but not the least, I thank all our student participants for making this webinar a successful one. Thank you all once again. Dear participants, the room will be open for a few more minutes. Kindly fill in the feedback form which has been shared in the chat. Thank you all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you all.